Welcome back to a new segment we're calling
Take Two.
Take Two. In this series, we're going to be reviewing any kind of visual media, so like TV shows and movies.
Today we are reviewing the TV show Severance, which is created by Dan Erikson, and a lot of the episodes are directed by Ben Stiller.
So what we're going to be doing is going through many categories and ranking the show on each of those categories, ending with our final scores, final thoughts, some predictions for season 3, and final thoughts on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get right into it. Major spoiler warning. We are going to go into the entire show, season 1 and season 2. So if you have not seen either of those seasons or both of those seasons, click off now, go watch it, and then come back to this video.
Yeah, these are for our fellow Severance watchers that have seen the entire thing.
Yes.
It just came out last Friday.
Yes.
The final season finale of season 2.
Yes. Let's get right into it.
Let's do it. Derek B., take it away.
Thank you, Scarlett T. Let's enjoy each of these categories equally. First category is cinematography. What do we mean by cinematography? That just means any part of the visual process for Severance. Anything that contributes to the story visually and the shot composition, the different types of shots, the movement in shots, anything that has to do with the visuals. Yes. The coloring, yes, absolutely.
How it looks.
Yes.
That's what we're calling cinematography.
Absolutely. Go ahead, take it away.
So I think that this show is so beautiful in general.
Yeah.
I think the shots are insane. I've been getting a lot of Severance on like my social media. So it'll come up with explanations of the different shots they do, like the one where they're transitioning from Innie to Outie.
Oh yeah, excellent.
How they like pull away from the camera because it's supposed to have like a background. It's this whole thing I went down a rabbit hole of. But that kind of idea. And also the coloring, the different coloring of the Innie world versus the Outie world. Because the Outie world takes place in this really cold, wintry, blue place. Versus the Innie world is so clinical.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that in general, it's so beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. All the different shots, all the different angles. They do really interesting, like, dividing the shot between characters when there's a divide between them. They're very clever with how they're shooting it. So I really appreciated the cinematography in Severance. Therefore, my score is a 9.
9 out of 10 is a great score. My rating for cinematography is 10 out of 10.
Whoa.
I absolutely loved the cinematography of this show. The intro scene of Mark running through the hallways. I can't imagine what had to go into creating that. The lighting on Mark in the final episode of season 2 when he's talking to himself, the red and blue. Some of the shots where they had to go down into the wires, there was not a lot of special effects I saw on the show. They did a lot of those things, like realistically.
Go down into the wires?
There's a shot, maybe I can throw it in, that they it's a really unsettling shot where they go down through the wires in the show. It's an insane shot, and they did it like on the day. There's no special effects in it. So just the overall chances they take in these shots. All of the shots for Gemma's flashbacks, making that feel different, like it was shot on film and making it feel nostalgic. It's unsettling, it's beautiful, it's so absurd. I love it. 10 out of 10.
That's crazy. 10 out of 10 is crazy. It is. I mean, I loved this, but I just am so hesitant to give anything a perfect score.
My idea of this is I have not seen anything better than this.
That's true.
So if this is the best I've ever seen, then this is my rating of a 10.
Okay. I guess I'm just leaving room. I don't know for what, but I'm just kind of leaving room.
Yeah. If something comes along that defeats it, then that breaks my scale and that I have to reevaluate everything. But from everything I've seen so far, this is a 10 out of 10.
Next, we are going to talk about characters. So, Derek B., tell me about these characters.
Characters in Severance, I'm sorry. Again, 10 out of 10.
That's crazy.
The fact that we have one character that is playing two characters for most of the characters in the show, and they are both such distinct, it's almost to the point where, I mean, this does play into the acting, but just the characters written, you can tell which one it is without even looking at the environment. The writing of that, like the character development of that, showing that each of these characters have these abilities to have these two different personalities based on their life experience. That blows my mind. Unreal. Every single character is interesting. I mean, I do have favorites over others, but I am still drawn to each one. For example, the Cobell episode in season 2, I wasn't floored by it, but I was still intrigued. I still care about Cobell as a character, even though she is maybe the least interesting.
I give characters an 8 out of 10. I really like the characters, but again, we're saving room. I don't know. I think some of the characters I'm still confused by, even after watching season 1 and 2, which I think is intentional. Obviously, there's more to come, so there's going to be a deeper dive into these characters. But for example, Rickon, I'm kind of like, what's going on? I don't really know what's going on with him. Or Ragabi, like there's just a lot left to dive further into. I think they're all really great, but I'm not exactly convinced yet of where they all perfectly fit into the story. So I'm kind of like waiting for that to all come together, I think.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I think I do have a little bit of recency bias, but the main characters, they bring that to a 10 out of 10 for me. The character of Helena Egan, the character of Mark Scout, the character of Irving, the character of Milchek.
Yeah.
That
I love Milchek.
Those characters alone make this a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Everything else feels like sprinkles on top. Next category is soundtrack. What do we mean by soundtrack?
Yeah, so for this, we're just talking generally, I guess, to go over TV or film, any sort of underlying theme song or score behind the action, anything like that. Just the sound and how they get you to feel with the sounds of the show. So for this one, we're thinking in particular about the intro.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Unreal. So unsettling, so perfectly matching the tone of the entire show.
Yes.
Absolutely excellent.
And they bring it in and they sprinkle it throughout. There will be little
yes,
like throughout the show. And I think it's so perfect because like when you're diving into the music elements, like the notes that they're using are like minors. So they're like, ooh, something's off. So naturally you're listening to it and you're just like, eerie. And I think it's so beautifully done, so masterful.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. I love the soundtrack. I gave it a 9.
Not to mention the dance parties. Those definitely bumped it up. Especially the ending dance party. I think his dancing lended an extra point for that one.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. But all the little, or like the jazz, what was it called? Rebellious Jazz or something like that?
Yes.
I loved that one. But yeah, all the little songs and dance, it really adds to the story because it makes it feel like such a production and such a show.
Yeah.
And it's kind of making fun of this orchestrated office world, and it just feels like a puppet show. And I think that's what they're going for, and they nailed it.
Absolutely. And I think even the more subtle background music,
Yeah.
when you don't even notice it, but it makes you feel something, when you start to feel on edge and you realize maybe on a second watch that it's because of the music in the background, I think that's masterclass of audio. And I think that's what they do. So again, 10 out of 10. I have not seen it done this good. I think Breaking Bad's up there, Game of Thrones is up there in the running for this, but I still think Severance takes the cake for me.
Crazy. That's crazy.
I know, nothing's beat it. So
All right.
I have to give it 10 out of 10.
Next.
This is the heart of everything for this show.
Really
the
diving
plot. What do you think of the plot of Severance?
The plot of Severance it's chef's kiss.
It's unmatched. It's mind-blowing. No pun intended.
It's nice. It's so good. I love exactly how they did it. Like, I wouldn't change how they did it at all. Starting the season, you're confused. You don't know what's going on. And then you're subtly finding things out with the characters. Like, it's like you're an innie, right, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you're just discovering this world. And then the whole plot of like this company being in charge, and it's so performative and so like this weirdo vibe. I don't know. Like the happy like milkshake, like hello, like it's so weird. It's so great. Obviously there's more to be had with the show, so there's still currently things that I'm confused by, I'm wondering about, I want to know more, which is great.
So what'd you give the plot out of 10?
I gave the plot A 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 is pretty high.
I might give my score. You're like, that's a good score.
I would love to know what you found wrong with any of these categories for not giving it that 10.
It's not that I found something wrong with it. I'm just saving room. It's like, I don't want to say this is the perfect show, and then, I don't know why. I'm just saving room. It feels like I don't want to give that title away of like the perfect plot. Because I do think there are some things that I still am not like totally on board with.
Sure. I just have so much trust in the creators based on what they've done so far that maybe in future seasons they could drop the ball. But based on what they've shown so far in their track record, I have full faith. Again, I'm sorry, but I gave the plot 10 out of 10.
Oh my God.
I could go hours on why I love this plot so much, but just some of... Yeah, let me go into a full monologue. No, I think some of just the highlights is what you said, making the viewer feel as if there is an innie and experiencing things as an innie. I think creating a conflict where you see the public discourse on this show is some people vote for Mark and Helly, other people are voting for Mark and Gemma. So you're creating this tension between viewers and seeing what people value rather than just a good or an evil. They've really blurred the lines on what's good, what's bad, who's good, who's bad.
Yeah.
Some characters are the villain and the hero. It doesn't make any sense. The commentary on the workplace, and especially in times like now with like mass layoffs and distrust in big corporations, having this show come out and just be a total satire on the world of normal jobs, which most people have. It's just, the timing's impeccable. It's so on the nose about things. It does everything so beautifully in mocking our culture today.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting take on, because obviously like the double is a really classic trope, like Jekyll and Hyde, like there's always this idea, it's been done, but I think that Severance does it in such a unique way where it's not necessarily this clean-cut evil good persona, but it's very much this mixed, complicated, both are real separate individual people, so you're always kind of unsure of who you're rooting for. I think no matter whoever you're watching at the time is who you want to win, and then it switches to the other one and you're like, oh wait, yeah, I want them to win. So it's like very confusing to know who to root for, and I think that's kind of unique.
But again, that goes to the fact that you are feeling what the characters are feeling. You are almost in the show experiencing what they're going through because they're confused. They don't know what's right and what's wrong. The innies value their life and want to live, but the outies see them as, I created you, I can destroy you. It's so complex.
Yeah.
And I think to close on the plot, I think coming up with the idea of Severance in itself is just a genius idea. But the fact that they took the idea of Severance and took each character and kind of displayed a different type of relationship with each, where Mark is likes Helena, so it's like innie on innie, but then innie on outie with Dylan's story, two innies together with Irving and Bert, and then just all of those different ways of looking at it. Everything that you could do with Severance, they did with Severance, I feel like. And they did it beautifully at that. So 10 out of 10. You're on a perfect score so far, Ben. All right, moving on to our next category is dialogue. How do you think the dialogue plays out in Severance?
I think it's pretty good. I think that what we mean by this is the way that the characters speak to one another natural and interesting and not like clearly a script. I think a lot of shows are, nobody would really talk like that, or you feel like you're in a movie. But this one feels pretty natural, I would say.
Well, as natural as it can be in this world.
Yeah, I guess the parts that take me a little bit out of it are when they're in this innie world, which makes sense because it's, the way they're speaking is this weird, like especially Milchick, the way that he speaks. I'm not sure why they gave him that personality trait of like using really advanced vocabulary. It feels a little random to me. I don't know if it maybe will make sense down the line.
I love it. I think it's just the absurdism in
it
this
is
show.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want.
But yeah, I think it was good. It was not like astounding to me. There weren't a lot of moments or lines that I was like, whoa, that was a bar. Or
What?
there were a couple.
It, Seth.
That was, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I liked that. I liked the venom he threw on that. But that's it. I don't know. I really liked it, but it was not like mind blowing. I gave it a 7.
That's so disrespectful. I
No.
completely disagree. I value it, but I completely disagree. I go ahead and guess in the comments below. 10 out of 10.
There's no way.
Dialogue is incredible.
I think that what makes it so incredible.
The fact that you can have I think this does play a lot into the acting, but also you have to create a script and a dialogue that facilitates all of that stuff. If you don't start with the dialogue there, I don't think any of the other stuff can play. So if you're having a lot of these characters say things, but have different intentions underneath, like when I'm thinking of the dialogue between Helena and Irving, and when he first says
That was a
the
great
night
scene.
gardener, that conversation, absolutely beautiful. When she goes into the tent and has that conversation with Irving, and she has that shift, and there's things being said. Those words allow them to put so many different emotions behind them, and that was I think the best dialogue interaction between characters I've ever seen in anything.
Wow.
That was insane.
Yeah, that was a great scene. I really liked that one.
Yeah. So those are a few examples, and they're all 10 out of 10. So
10 out of 10.
So 10 out of 10.
Okay. The next category is acting. So this one we're going to jump into what we think of the actors, how well they portray the characters. So similar to characters, but more so on the acting side. So what did you think of the acting?
Okay. This is my first not 10 out of 10. I know.
That's disrespectful to the actors.
No. So I took acting as a whole, right? I think there's tremendous parts from every single person, but I do think there are a couple weak points.
Yeah.
So it's not strong throughout.
Okay.
So I think the highs of some of the acting, Milchek. I think Helena. I think those two, and Irving. I think those three are peak. They are all 10 out of 10. They never dropped the ball. They kept me in the scene. Anytime I saw them in any scene, I was never taken out of it by their characters. They crushed it.
Wow.
I would also put Mark actually in that
Yeah, I was
category.
thinking
He doesn't
Mark.
have as big of range, I think, but that final dialogue between Innie Mark and Outie Mark put him in that S tier category. I think the few things that kept me from giving it a 10, I did give it a 9 out of 10. So that one point is Dylan yelling Gretchen. That hurt and took me out of it so much.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on theme for the character. For me, it took me out of it.
They did him dirty with that
So
one.
dirty. And unfortunately, the Cobell episode. Sometimes I love Cobell and what she's doing. Sometimes it feels a little too much. Even for this absurd world, it feels too much and takes me out of it.
Okay.
So I give it a 9 out of 10.
All right. I really appreciated the acting in this. I think that the main thing that comes to mind for me when I'm thinking of the acting is just their facial expressions. I think that they do so much without having to act and, do all this. Like watching Mark in the elevator coming as the Outie Mark and then transforming into the Innie just by like changing his face. Like you can so clearly tell when he's the Innie and when he's the Outie just by his face and just by how, I don't know, I guess again it ties back to characters, but I think Adam Scott is doing such a good job of subtly portraying these two different characters, and it's just like he nailed it. He has these two modes that he can just tap into, and I know which one he's in, and they're never crossing, they're never confusing. It's like that's the Innie, that's the Outie. And same I think with Helena. Irving, I think, is kind of similar.
I
Innie.
don't know if we've seen enough of Outie Irving in like his true form.
I don't know. I mean, he had that whole dinner scene with Bert and Attila.
But he was super like on edge because he's like, I don't know who to trust.
Yeah, that's true. But they feel a little similar. Also, Dylan, is like a little. But I think it's his character is to be a little like goofy, silly. It was awesome. I gave it a 9. 9 out of 10.
Both gave it a 9.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Okay, so that's all of our categories. After adding that all up, getting the average, what is your final score for Severance season 1 and 2?
My final score out of 10 is an 8.3.
8.3. Okay. I think that's low for how great this show was.
Whoa.
Because mine came out to a 9.8.
Oh.
9.8
Wow.
is crazy. And I know it sounds like, oh, this guy just is, he gives that rating to everything. No. Severance is my favorite show of all time.
Wow.
It has surpassed everything. It is the greatest show that exists to date.
Oh my God. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Way to go. I think if Dylan G knew that it was held back from a 10 out of 10 because of his
Because of its
line,
grudge. I know he's going to be really upset after watching this
when
video.
he sees this episode, he's going to be pissed.
So those are our final scores. Let's hear any predictions we have going forward into season 3.
It's so hard. This show's so weird, and it takes you in directions that don't even make sense, but they end up making sense. So it's impossible for me to predict what I think is going to happen. Obviously, the main storyline, right? Like we're going to have to see what happens with Mark and Gemma being held apart. So like this Innie Mark, is he going to release Outie Mark? I don't know. We'll see. You know, are Gemma and Outie Mark going to ever reunite? I imagine. But I don't know how they're going to tie everything up. Maybe they don't. Maybe that's not the point. I don't know. It's really hard for me to foresee what I think might happen. I mean, you know, will Lumen fall? We'll see.
We'll see. For my predictions, I agree. I don't know how they ever end Severance. Now that this technology exists, it's out there. There's no way to not have it out there. My prediction for season 3, maybe it sounds obvious, but I think it's going to be a whole flip. I think now it's going to be Gemma, Devin, and Cobell trying to rescue Outie Mark, and Innie Mark kind of has him held captive. I think we're going to see a lot more of the inside of Lumen. I think Helly and Mark are going to be on the run, and they're going to go through way more. We saw the goat room in season 2, but I think it's going to get even crazier.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a weird side of Lumen, and it's going to get deep and deep, and it's going to be one of those, I have Mark Outie captive, come and get him. So I would love to see that, but I bet Dan will do something way crazier than I can even think of.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So,
Dan, we are on the edges of our seats.
yeah, please don't take another 3 years for season 3 to come out. I would like it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So this was Take Two.
If you made it this far, you're a true one. Put in the comments, Gretchen, if you made it this far.
Ooh, all right. This is Asher B. What did you think of Severance?
He's like, it's awesome.
I was like, it's a bore.
Yawn.
Yawn.
Seen it before.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Bye.